Hello everyone, I am Amod and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video tutorial, we will publish files from a local Git repository in VS Code to a GitHub remote repository which has existing files and commits. Let's understand the scenario here. Suppose you need to work on a new project and you create a new project in VS Code. After adding some code and commits, you request project admin for a new remote repository so that you can publish your changes from your local repo to remote repo. So admin provides you a new remote repository, and in that remote repository we have some default files like readme and gitignore. So in this video we will learn how to publish files from local repository to such remote repository where we have some files and commits. Generally, if you need to work on a new project, then you should ask for the remote repository first so that you can clone that remote repository in your IDE and start working. That is very straightforward approach. But here we have another scenario and we'll see the solution in this video tutorial. So first of all, I'm going to create one remote repository in my GitHub. So click on new, give the repository name. I will give repo with files. Let it be public, and here I am going to check this checkbox so that it will create a readme file. So generally a readme file will have the project description like how to set up, what is project all about, etc. And we are also going to add one default file called .gitignore. So when you create a project in any technology, there might be many files which are not needed to be pushed. Like if it is a Java-based project, then we may not need to push target folder. Or if it is a node project, then we should not push node modules folders and etc. So instead of creating that manually, we can use this option here. So it is asking to select the template. So if you click on this drop down, it will give you some template option. So I'm going to use Playwright with TypeScript, and those are node projects. So let's type node and select it. So in this project, it will add a .gitignore file which will have the information of files to be excluded for a node based project that I will show you in some time. And then after adding this .gitignore file, it says by default the default branch name will be main, which we can change, but let it be. Now click on create repository. So you can see remote repository has been created and we have two files. One is .gitignore, and you can see it has some files name which will be automatically ignored. And then we have readme.md file. So I'm going to edit this file and I will write some description like this project is using Playwright with TypeScript, and I'm going to commit these changes using this option. So I'm going to give a commit message like added readme file, and I'm going to directly commit in the main branch and select commit changes. So you can see changes have been saved, and here we have main branch, and let's go to home page. On the home page, you can see it is showing two commits. If you click on it, you can see first one is initial commit when we created the repo with readme and gitignore files. So that time this commit was done automatically with this commit message. Then we later updated the readme file and committed those changes using this commit message. So now we have perfect scenario created. I have remote repository which has two files and commit. So if you get your remote repository before you start working locally, then it is always a good approach to clone the remote repository in your IDE, then work on that. But here scenario is different. So I'm going to create one local repository first in VS Code. So click on file, open folder. So in this directory, I'm going to create one folder with name publish to existing repo. You can give any name and select this folder in VS Code. So this is empty now. So I'm going to add a simple JS file, maybe hello world.js, and I will have one console.log hello world. That's all. So I have local repo in VS Code and I have remote repository in GitHub. Now I need to connect both so that my changes will be synced. So for that, we can use GitHub extension because my remote repository is in GitHub. So for that, we can click on this source control icon, and it is asking to initialize repository, because as of now, whatever folder I have created, that is normal. And to make that normal folder to a Git repository, we need to initialize it first. Initializing means we are saying this directory is a Git directory, and make sure that you have Git installed on your machine. So let's click on this initialize repository. And now you see some sections here. The first one says changes, and here we have the file which we have created. And as of now, this file had status as untracked, which you can see here. So Git will never track the changes in a file unless we ask them, or we need to say that this file you need to track for any changes. So here we have one option plus. If you click on this plus sign, that untracked file will be tracked now, and that will be added to the staging area. That's why you see one header stage changes, and this time the status of this file is index added. If you do any further change in this file, maybe if you add a semicolon, then basically I have modified the file. So you can see under the changes we are getting the same file, and this time the status is modified because Git is tracking the changes now. And in the staging changes, if you click on it, you'll see we don't have semicolon, but under the changes we can see we have the semicolon. So to update the file or update the latest changes, again you need to click on this plus sign. Now let's give the commit message like added hello world, and we need to click on this commit. Once we commit, it is giving me an option to publish branch. This option we can use if we don't have any remote repository available, so that automatically it will create a repository in your GitHub profile. That is the advantage of GitHub extension in VS Code. But here we have already one GitHub remote repository, and publishing a local repository to a new remote repository I have already covered in my previous video. So before I go to next step, I will log into my GitHub profile using VS Code. So click on this account profile, and here we have an option sign in. So click on this. It will open a tab where it will ask you to enter your GitHub username in. I am already logged in GitHub, so it is asking me to continue with this username. So I am going to click on continue, and if you click on this open Visual Studio Code, I have successfully logged into GitHub account. And if you click on this profile icon, you can see my name. So now next step is to connect your remote repository to this local repository. For that, we need to click on these three horizontal dots, and here we have one option called remote. Click on remote, and we have another option add remote. Now you see the benefit of login to your GitHub profile in VS Code. You see one option add remote from GitHub. Click on this, then it is going to fetch all the repository name here. And you can see the first one, the repository which I had created just now, repo with files. Select this, and it is asking you to provide the remote name. So I'm going to put origin. You can give any name and hit enter. So basically now I have added the remote in my local repository. Now let's try to post the changes and see what happens. So we have to click on these three dots, and we have one option called push. Click on it. So it is giving some warning message like the branch main has no remote branch. Would you like to publish this branch? So let me click on cancel button as of now, and I'm going to open the terminal, and I'm going to run a command called git branch. So this command will give you the local branch name on which you're working. So you can see it is giving main with the asterisk. That means we are working in a local branch main. And when we try to push the changes, it gave some warning message. Let me repeat that. Click on push. So it is saying that the branch main, so it is talking about the local branch, has no remote branch. Would you like to publish this branch? So basically it is saying that my local branch main has no information about the its associated remote branch. So why do we need the associated remote branch? So that you can pull the changes from that branch and publish as well. Now let's click on OK, and you can see it is giving error this time. Can't push reference to remote. Try running pull first to integrate your changes. So basically, why it is failing? Because we have some changes or some files in the remote repository. So my local repository is not in the sync with the remote repository. That's why when we try to push the changes from local repository to the remote repository, it is complaining. So now it is saying you need to pull the changes first so that your local repository will be in sync with the remote repository. So let's click on cancel and again click on three dots and let's pull the changes. But now it is giving again one error like there's no tracking information for the current branch. Again the same thing, the local branch main has no associated branch. If there is no associated branch, it cannot pull or push the changes. So first we need to set that. Here we have one button open git log. Let's click on this and whatever option we were trying to perform, all the logs we will see here. So basically whatever option we see on UI, internally it will call some git command. So basically you can see we try to do git pull and it's saying that there's no tracking information for the current branch. Specify which branch you want to merge with and to achieve that we can use this git command. So let's copy it and go to terminal and paste here. So it says git branch hyphen set upstream to origin slash branch. So here we need to give the remote branch name. So what is the remote branch name I am using? Main. But if we have any other branch, then you can give that name. So now my local main branch will be associated with the remote main branch. Now hit enter. So you can see branch main set up to track origin slash main. Now let's try to pull the changes. So click on three dots and click on pull. So again you can see it is giving some error. Let's click on open git log. And if you read here, it is running git pull command from origin main and it is saying that it encountered a fatal error saying refusing to merge unrelated histories. So basically you can face this error when you have different commit histories. In the remote repository we have two commits. In local repository we have one commit and both are not same. Means basically we have different commit histories at both places. So how to solve this? So here we need to just override this behavior by passing an extra argument, which is allow unrelated histories that we cannot do using the UI. So I need to use command here. So get pull origin main and option is two dashes allow unrelated histories. Hit enter. So now you can see we see some green lines and if you go to your local repository then here we have files from remote repository which are readme.md and .gitignore. So basically now my local repository in VS Code is in sync with my remote repository. Now if you try to push the changes from local to remote, so go to source control, click on three dots again and let's select push. So you can see this time it should be successful. And if you go to your remote repository and refresh this page, we see my commit message and this merge commit was created when we pulled the changes from remote to local. And if you click on code, we should see our file as well. And in the VS Code under the graph, we can see all the commit information. So this is how I explained to publish the changes from your local repository to an existing GitHub repository step by step. So that's all in this video. If you have any doubt, please comment on this video. If you really like my videos, please like, comment, subscribe and share with others. Thank you everyone.